Given the IELTS speaking test, how would you answer the question, what's your favourite food? It seems like a straightforward question, but if you answer with just the name of the food, you're drastically reducing the score you can achieve. In this episode, I'm going to give you 7 suggestions for ways that you can expand your answer and achieve a higher score. Hi, my name's Vic, and this is episode 2 of the IELTS with Vic podcast. You'll find the links to my YouTube channel and blogs in the show notes, so make sure to check those out. And if you want a free copy of the podcast transcript, then head over to my IELTS blog to request it, and I'll send it across to you by email. Okay, so let's get started with today's topic then. Food is a subject close to my heart, so personally I have lots to say on this topic. There are 3 common questions that tend to be asked on the topic of favourite food. What's your favourite food? What's your favourite dish? What's your favourite cuisine? Although these questions are similar, they are asking about slightly different things. So to help you tailor your answer best to the question you are asked, let's dig a little deeper. The question, what's your favourite food, is basically asking, what is your favourite thing to eat? You could answer this with pretty much anything related to food. You could talk about a particular ingredient, such as cheese or prawns, for example. You could discuss a particular dish, such as lasagna or dumplings. You could mention a style of food, such as fried food or homemade food. Or you could refer to a particular national cuisine, such as French cuisine or Chinese cuisine. So basically, there are lots of ways you could choose to interpret this question, and we will explore ways to expand your answer shortly. First, though, let's consider the second question, which is, what's your favourite dish? The word dish often refers to a type of food container, like a bowl. However, the word dish also means food prepared in a particular way as part of a meal. This is the meaning of dish that is relevant to our question. Examples of dishes might be roast potatoes, fried broccoli and garlic, or onion soup, just to name a few. The last question then was, what's your favourite cuisine? Which refers to a style of cooking. This can relate to the way something is cooked, but for many people I think the strongest collocation is with countries and cultures, such as Japanese cuisine and Indian cuisine. To review those previous points then, I might say that my favourite food is broccoli, my favourite dish is fried broccoli with garlic, and my favourite cuisine is Chinese cuisine. Now that we've clarified the difference between food, dish and cuisine, let's think about how we can expand the length of our exam answers. Regarding the question, what's your favourite food? You could expand your answer by including a dish and a cuisine, like I did with my broccoli answer a moment ago. The only problem I see here is that it basically repeats the same grammar structure 3 times. My favourite X is X. Repeating the same structure throughout your answer will not earn you a very high score for grammatical range, so let's think about other things we could say. One option we have for giving more information is to say why we like that particular food. For example, I really like the fresh taste and crunchy texture of broccoli when it's quick fried. Plus, I know that broccoli's good for you, so I can enjoy eating it even more, knowing that I'm getting a dose of vitamins too. Thinking about the taste or flavour of food for a moment then, we have lots of vocabulary to choose from, such as sweet, salty, bitter, sour, fruity, cheesy, tangy, and spicy. There are many words we can use to describe flavours, so it's worth taking time to think about what your favourite foods and dishes are, and what the English words are to describe the taste and flavour of these foods. Regarding texture, again, there are many words to describe the texture of foods, such as soft, chewy, crispy, crunchy, hard, smooth, rubbery, creamy, and crumbly. There are plenty more too, so again, think about your favourite foods and how you would describe their texture. If you're not sure which English words best describe your favourite foods, do some research online to see if you can find a good translation from your own language. And if you want my feedback on your example answers, feel free to leave a comment. Another reason people like certain foods can relate to a positive mental or emotional association that causes us to enjoy a food. For example, another favourite food of mine is Polish pierogi, which is a type of dumpling. They come with various fillings, but my favourite is cheese and potato, and although you can have them boiled, I prefer mine fried. The reason I love pierogi so much is that they remind me of happy times spent with my husband's grandmother. I used various methods of expanding my answer just then. I explained what the food is, as I know that not everyone is familiar with pierogi. I also mentioned the different fillings and ways of cooking them. And finally, I mentioned the emotional association I have with this food. This method of explaining what a dish actually is can be very useful to you in the exam, especially if you choose to talk about a special local dish that the examiner might not know about. You can use phrases such as these by substituting X and Y with food words. My favourite food is X, which is a type of Y. My favourite food is X, which is a local speciality in my hometown. It is made from X and Y. It is similar to X. Let me give another favourite food example, but from a slightly different angle. Although I feel naughty saying it, one of my favourite foods is actually a McDonald's breakfast. I always go for the double bacon and egg McMuffin with a hash brown and white coffee. I know that this probably isn't the healthiest breakfast option for me to choose, but I have very specific associations with this food. I tend to only have a McDonald's breakfast on days when I'm taking a flight, so I associate McDonald's breakfasts with the excitement and anticipation of travelling. As you can see, this is a very different answer to both my broccoli and pierogi examples, but I still found plenty to say. Plus, the grammar was sufficiently diverse to attract a higher score than a basic "my favourite food is X" type answer. I think it's also important to remember that not everyone likes food as much as I do. So, what can you say if you're not really a massive fan of food? Here are a few example sentences which might be relatable to some of you listening to this podcast. I just don't have much of an appetite, so I don't really think about food that much. I find thinking about food and deciding what to eat is really stressful, so I always end up ordering the same thing. I don't have the time or energy to cook interesting meals, so I usually just have the same few dishes. Food isn't really a big part of my life, so I just eat whatever is put in front of me. I find the texture of many foods really disgusting, so I tend to only eat a few things that I like. Because I have a medical condition, there are certain foods that I must avoid, so that has quite an impact on my daily food choices. My favourite food is cheese, but I'm lactose intolerant, which means that I have to limit the amount that I eat, otherwise I really suffer. That is just a small selection of things that people might say, so if you have a nuanced relationship with food, feel free to take some of those example sentences and adjust them to suit your personal situation. To summarise, there are various ways we can expand on our answer regarding favourite foods, including mentioning the cuisine, tastes and textures we enjoy, health aspects of food, different varieties of the food, ways it can be cooked, emotional associations, or you could talk about why you're not really a foodie. In today's episode, we've covered favourite foods. However, in the exam, it's possible that you might be asked about things you don't like. I'm going to dedicate a future episode to the topic of foods that we dislike. So make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss out. After you finish listening to this episode, I recommend taking a few minutes to create your own expanded answer to the question, what's your favourite food? And make sure to explain what it is if you think the examiner might not be familiar with it. If you like, you can post your answer in the comments, and then I can give you some feedback on it. So go ahead, tell us about your favourite food in the comments section. Thanks for joining me today, and see you next episode for more phrases and tips to level up your IELTS speaking test score and achieve your English learning goals. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.